Have you ever noticed that you are surrounded by different kinds of cultures? Do you keep bumping head with someone but can't figure out why? Do you keep feeling offended but the other person seems clueless? You might need to consider that you are experiencing some kind of culture differences with those around you. Yes, culture differences here in the state is something that makes communicating and relating to others really difficult sometimes. It's not just something only people go to another country need to worry about. It's around us and really affects our daily life. Especially here in DFW area where diversity is everywhere. Culture awareness is the foundation of communication and involves the ability for us to take a step back, really look at our surroundings, and become aware of our culture values, beliefs, and perceptions. Why do we do things the way we do? Why do we see the world the way we see it? And why do we react in a particular way? One example of this, which is more noticeable, is the way people communicate in Eastern and Western culture. In Eastern culture, more responsibility is placed on the listener versus in Western culture, more responsibility on the speaker. It can seem like people from Eastern culture are really way more indirect than those from the Western culture because in Eastern culture, the listener is supposed to interpret or read the subtext of what the speaker implies, and they are supposed to infer based on the very limited information the speaker actually conveys. While in Western culture, the speaker is expected to verbalize almost everything he or she wants the listener to get and understand. Do you see the gap there if we are not aware of the differences? That's why we often hear, "You need to tell me what you want." Another one would be in the context of marriage, although you might think of your spouse and you both grew up in the state, or even you're both Texans. You might not have considered the subculture of the family that you and your spouse come from. Each family has their own unique system for things to work, different ways to relate to each other, celebrate holidays, or even day-to-day meals. For example, some families laugh more together than others do, and some families wait for everyone to get ready to sit and eat together. Others might just grab food whenever you're hungry. When you're newly married, these differences can sound interesting and fun to learn about, but when the reality of married life sets in, these subtle differences can become challenges that lead to lots of conflicts. So, how do we deal with these fun but also challenging cultural differences? First, we have to admit that we don't know. Knowing that we don't know everything and admitting it is the first step. For example, a situation doesn't make sense to us, or our assumption may be wrong is part of the process to become culturally aware. If you have to, assume differences, not similarities. 2. Slow to judge. Gather as much information as possible so that you can describe the situation accurately before even make a conclusion about it. 3. Empathy. In order to understand another person, we need to put ourselves in their shoes. Through empathy, we understand other people and learn how they would like to be treated by us. 4. Always check your assumptions. Ask the other person, whether it's your spouse or colleague, for feedback, and always check your assumptions to make sure that you actually understand the situation. 5. Become comfortable with ambiguity. The more complicated and uncertain life is, the more we tend to seek control. Assume that other people are as resourceful as you are, and their way of thinking and doing will only enrich your own understanding. There's a quote that I really like to remind myself of. If we always do that we've always done, we will always and only get what we always got. So finally, 6, celebrate diversity. If we can admit that we don't know, be slow to judge, be able to emphasize with the other person, always check our assumptions and become more comfortable with differences and ambiguity, we would truly be able to celebrate and enjoy the diversity around us. That's all I have for today. Thank you.